Nation. The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
All right, welcome to episode 82 of the Sports Card Nation podcast. Well, let's get the heaviness out of the way right off the bat, and then we can have a great show. Those of you that follow me, maybe on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, my family, we lost our family dog, Mocha. She was a boxer. We lost her Sunday morning, Father's Day. She lived 13 and a half years. Now, we knew at some point soon this was probably going to be the reality, but it kind of came quick, and there was an episode and culminated with us making the decision to put her down. I don't want to get into all the details, but there was really nothing else we could do. It hurts, but this isn't about me I want to say thank you to the hobby community out there. I posted that because I wasn't sure, I wasn't anticipating being very active on social media, and I get 5, 6, maybe sometimes more direct messages a day with questions. And I wasn't sure how accessible I was going to be. So I put out there what happened just so folks would know. If I don't respond back to you right away, here's what's going on. And the response I got from people, direct messages, even text, out public messages of thoughts, condolences, people sharing their own personal pet loss stories, really made a difference. We have a great community here in the hobby. Whether it's something like this, or a family member, a human family member that's lost, a tragic, someone sick, a tragedy in terms of like a fire. I've seen all sorts of ways that this community's rallied to someone's side, to someone's aid, and truthfully, this is the first time since the show started in November of 2018 that a significant event like this really happened, and I hope we're a long ways from something else again, and same to you and your family. But I want to give a sincere and heartfelt thank you to those who reached out, sent messages of hope and positive stuff, and offers to, if I need anything, that sort of thing. And just hearing that and the exchanges with you were more than enough, and I thank you for them. And I hope what we try to do, myself and the show, that feeling's mutual as well. And I want to thank you for being there. Still getting through it. I think you can probably tell even by listening to me here. It hurts, but we gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. And one other last thing on it, and I know I thanked them already, but on Monday night here, Upper Decks in California, but late Monday afternoon here, I got tagged. Came across my phone on the notification screen. Upper Deck has tagged you. And, I didn't know. They've liked my stuff. They've retweeted my tweets before. We've had the great Chris Carlin on the show, but I couldn't remember an instance where they actually tagged me. So I opened my phone up and saw that, they had created a jumbo-sized card of a picture of myself and Mocha, my dog that passed on, and they produced it, and they're going to send it to myself and my family here, and you better believe that's going on my living room wall. I'll see what it's like, and we can frame it. But this is Upper Deck, and I don't want this to be an infomercial from Upper Deck, but it's got to be said. And most know this. They won our Company of the Year in our year-end awards, and this is a company they've done this kind of thing countless times before for the community. I was going to say hobby community, but just the community in general. They're always there. Their customer service is second to none. And the fact that they would, read this, see this, and respond in that fashion says all you need to say about Upper Deck Company. And, they're the best hobby company in the industry. They're not a sponsor. They don't have to be for me to be honest and say that. And it's just a tremendous act of kindness on their part. It's something I'm going to obviously remember forever, cherish forever. It's going to be on our wall here in at home. And, I thanked them, but I wanted to thank them publicly on the air. They're a great company. All those folks over there, just, I can't stress it enough. So thank you, Upper Deck. It's going to be something we cherish here forever when we get it, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. Let's go on to happier things, if you will. Our guest on the show today is Topps 2020 project and acclaimed artist Sophia Chang. Sophia is the only woman on the commission. That doesn't matter. She's just a great artist, not woman or male artist. She's just a great artist. But that is the fact of the commission. She's going to bring her insights. She's very candid. She's a boss lady. She doesn't mince words. And I was happy. She's very busy. So the fact that she can make some time for us and share those thoughts, I was very appreciative of her being on. I think you'll find the interview very interesting. Like I said, she's not shy and she doesn't mince words. And I like people like that because that's how I would probably be described. So look forward to that later in the show. This show is going to be probably a little shorter, folks. I know the intro's a little bit longer, but I think this show is going to be a little shorter than most. No Newman's Ramblings today. I just didn't feel right now it's something that I want to do. So we're going to do our interview segment with Sophia. We'll do our new release schedule. We'll do hobby news, get into the interview, and we'll call it an episode 82. So it's going to be a great show. Again, thank you everyone for being there for me during a difficult time. Still is, but we're here. We're plugging away. And speaking of that, let's start this baby up.
Sports Card Nation Podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast. Now on tons of platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Listened to in 44 different countries globally, Sports Card Nation is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, our awesome guests on the show, and our tremendous sponsors making us what we are today. Remember, without you, there's no us.
Time for this week's
Incoming!
product releases. All right, all the following releases are supposed to be out today, if you're listening to the show upon release, which is Friday the 26th. 2020 Top Series 2 Baseball. 2019 Leaf Valiant Baseball. 2019-20 Panini Spectra Basketball. 2020 Panini Legacy Football. And on the 30th, 2019-20 Upper Deck Engraved Hockey. Now again, COVID is still, obviously the pandemic is still messing with some things, and obviously people in general. So, we'll see, but at least schedule-wise, that is what is supposed to take place. So, big, 4 products on the 26th, and then Upper Deck Engraved Hockey on the 30th. So, look for those items in the marketplace. The Star Stock selling platform is fully live and fully functional. It's fast becoming one of the premier sports card marketplaces. They aim to be the fastest, most efficient place to buy and sell your cards. They offer no ingestion fees. They do all the legwork, scan your cards to the site, and cards are held safely in the secure vault. Their 5% sales commission is one of the lowest in the industry. Currently, they are looking for rookie and prospect cards, and now they also are accepting graded cards as well. If you're interested in selling on the site, please email Mike at the following email address: mike@starstock.com. It's time for What's Cracking. Let's start with news from the world of grading, specifically PSA. Hedge fund Alta Fox, which owns 5.4% of Collectors Universe, aka PSA Grading, has tried to overhaul the board of directors and get their own folks they want in there. They want to keep Joe Orlando in his position, but they pretty much want to replace the whole board. They are unhappy with the direction the company's taken. They're unhappy with the existing board's reluctance to change or to get new people on the board. So there's a sort of coup attempt, if you will. We'll stay tuned. We'll see what happens with that. And since that was announced, PSA also then followed up by announcing they are hiring a bunch more staff. So they're starting to feel that temperature rise, probably internally and externally with the rise of SGC, and so they are trying to fend people off at the gates. So we'll see how this all pans out. I've said, regardless that business is that good, and business is that good. Let's be real. Hire more people, train more people, and you have a 1 million card backlog. If you figure that's an average of $10 a card, that's a $10 million backlog. That's a lot of employees potentially. So fix what ails you, and or let others take over that spot. And so PSA has got the heat ratcheted up, and they're starting to feel it as well. Card shows are back slowly but surely. It appears I haven't been to any personally, so this is all reports from the front lines, if you will. Appears attendance is a little lower, and that's to be expected. Some people wearing masks, some people not. I'm a huge card show guy. I really kind of got my start on the business side of things at the age of 14 and 15 in the card show circuit. And so it means a lot to me, and I hope we don't lose what card shows are. I just did a Hobby Quick Hits. Episode 18 is about the card show. And past, present, and future. Go check that out. A little shameless plug there. But card shows are very important. I hope we don't lose what they stand for. Again, I really go into detail on Hobby Quick Hits about that, but it's good to see them return. I hope everyone does that the right way and maintains safety and caution so we prevent the spread of the virus. But it's glad to see some sort of normalcy return to the show circuit. Another card is going to set a record. It's expected to bring over $1 million and set the record for biggest sale of a modern day card. It's the graded BGS 9.5 2003-2004 LeBron James Exquisite RPA, only 23 made, and it's expected to eclipse $1 million and take that top spot from the Trout Bowman Chrome. It's going to be held by Golden Auctions. I tell you what, they're on an incredible run with some great cards coming through their auction house. So it's a good year for Golden Auctions. Let's talk about the Topps Project 2020. Still going, obviously. Going to go right through December. We're in about the 120s, I believe, in the card number. Print runs have went down as the buy Monday, sell Tuesday crowd, I believe, has moved on. I think what we have still involved are folks like me who just a card hits them or they like it. Or in my case, Jackie Robinson's my guy, so I'm going to buy all the Jackie Robinson. I think there's more of those now than before. And print runs are kind of coming back down to reality, if you will. And, I know there's 6 shows doing stuff just on 2020 project and charts and analytics. I'm not a charts and analytics. I believe those have a place. I'm not against them, but I'm old school, old fashioned. And here's what I'll say. I get asked this every day, almost every day. What should I do pertaining to Project 2020? And my simple answer, and I know it's pretty dry, but it's true. Buy the cards or players or artists that you're fond of or like, or if a card strikes you. For example, Maguire's Blake Jameson. I'm not a Maguire guy at all, quite frankly, but I loved the looks of that card, and I bought a couple of them. And that's, I think, the approach. And if you get into a card that has a low print run and it winds up increasing in secondary market value, then it's a win-win because you've got a card you wanted, because that's what you bought it on the first premise. And now the second thing is you have it where it's worth more than you paid, if that's, something you look at. And so that's my approach. Buy something that interests me with the 2020 project. Now, I'm not saying I'm like that everything, but with the 2020 project, that's where I've pivoted to. Is if I like a card, if I like the artist, if I like the player, in my case Jackie Robinson, then I just purchase one or multiple copies of the card depending on what I think. If I think it's going to be a low print run and there might be some ROI down the line, instead of buying 1 or 2, maybe I buy the 5. Again, it's just based on feel and instinct and just what I want to do. I don't think there's any cut or dry answer. Everyone has different styles to collect or sell. But that's my approach, is buy on personal preference first and selling second, especially at this point. Another big find. These are starting to pop up, this time in Southern California. Found in a Yahtzee box. I believe it was a 432 card find, featuring some Texas Tommy candy bar cards from 1914. Not very available, actually very scarce, very seldom seen, very seldom grading, including a Ty Cobb, which is the first ever Texas Tommy Ty Cobb graded. It pulled the 1, but guess what? That's going to do very well on the auction circuit. It's the second Shoeless Joe Texas Tommy. That was graded at 2.5. These are PSA grades. Also in that collection was a 1922 E121 American Caramel Babe Ruth Anti-Cobb. Those are graded out, and obviously these 432 cards are going to auction and expected to garner well over $1 million, and who knows how much once that gavel comes down. So nice to see some of these cards seeing the light of day. While I may not have much left, I sold a lot of my vintage during my store and after my store days, and sometimes I wish I didn't. I do have some remaining. I don't want to make it like I don't, but I had a lot more. It's nice to see some of these make it out into the general public and for purchasing, even though many of them, or if not all of them, are definitely outside of anything I can afford. It's nice to see them, not stuck in a closet, a barn, an attic, and be discovered. It's a historic part of the card history, and it's good to see it discovered. A lot of products are starting to get released and come out. Top Series 2, when you hear this recording, it will be release day. It is a high price point, higher than traditionally. I looked at the rookie list, not very good other than Luis Robert. And again, high price point. And as someone who's kind of went away from packs and opening a lot of wax, I still open a little bit. This is, the surge of what wax is now costing has made me giving up a lot of my wax opening a lot easier. It's really made the decision almost for me. But to buy a box or buy boxes and open them yourself, it's generally, I know I've said this before, a losing proposition. I think the way to go is buy into breaks, buy a spot. It's usually cheaper. You can get into, obviously every break is different. If you're buying into, Diamond Icons or National Treasures or Transcendent break, you're going to break out your checkbook any way you slice it. But if you want to get into, mid-tier, even higher-end products that not on that high end, breaks are a great opportunity to get some of those cards without breaking the bank. And that's why breaking's so popular. It's why those guys do so well. And so I'm not against wax. I think that's the way you approach it. But again, to each their own. I'm not one to tell you how to do it. I might just give you some advice, and at the end of the day, that's up to you. But I'm really on a 3 year thing where I've cut my wax consumption down. It's helped my bank account, is happier for it. A lot of bills are paid off or non-existent, and that's just something I did, folks. And don't get me wrong, it took me 30-something years to get to that point. So it's not a real evil genius type of thing. It's a lot of getting whacked over the head before I stop walking into that alley type of deal. And it's worked for me. And listen, there's no shortage of cards. I grade about 400 to 500 cards a year, and that's with opening less wax. So I'm still acquiring cards. I buy collections and lots and singles and that sort of thing. So I'm just really cutting out a lot of that excess and just getting a little tunnel vision on certain things. And it's worked for me. That's all I can say. As I've always said, if you ever have a question, you can DM me, PM me, ask me even publicly, whatever. Get a hold of me, text me, call me. I'll be as helpful as I can be. I won't tell you what to do, but I'll give you the best advice I can do and give, and that what you do with it obviously is up to you, as it should be. Pastime Marketplace offers a line of durable graded card cases made for collectors who want high-quality graded card storage that is virtually indestructible. Their cases are waterproof, dustproof, airtight, and designed to protect your valuable collection. Check them all out at www.pastimemarketplace.com. Protect your best with the best.
1.
Commence interview sequence.
All right, real happy to have my next guest on the One of One Card Shop guest line. She hails from Queens, New York, my neck of the woods. As most know, I'm from Brooklyn. She's one of the Topps 2020 project artists, but her resume was pretty full before she got on that as well. I'm happy to have her on the Sports Card Nation podcast. Sophia Chang, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone who might be listening in.
Yes, thank you. I know you're very busy with the project, amongst other things you're probably involved in, so I appreciate you making some time. You've worked for big companies, Bauhaus, Undefeated, Puma, you designed a shoe, Foot Locker, the NBA, and now this project with, and others, and now this project with Topps. You started, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, you started out in the fashion industry, and it just didn't do it for you, so to speak.
Well, I am going to correct you just a little bit.
Okay.
My dream growing up was to be a fashion designer.
Yeah.
And I did initially have that as my kind of dream job trajectory for many years since I was a kid. And then, when college time came and everyone was applying for schools, I started college at Parsons School of Design initially with a fashion major in mind. And then when I got in, I realized it wasn't my vibe. I didn't really like the people or the curriculum, and ended up changing my major in college. So I didn't quite have an opportunity to work in the field professionally. But from an academic perspective, I realized it wasn't for me.
Yeah. And I mean, it's good. I think it's safe to say it's worked out for you, and I'm sure you don't necessarily regret that decision. One thing I love about you, Sophia, you have that city, that New York City. I'm from Brooklyn, like I mentioned. That hustle. You're always kind of working hard, doing something. I know I've heard you say, you earn what you get what you earn from the work you put into it. You've done many different things from illustration to designing to even photo shoots. And I just, if you can touch kind of where your work ethic comes from.
I mean, I guess definitely, I think first and foremost, you nailed it. It really just comes from just growing up in New York. I'm originally from Queens, and majority of the Queens experience is just growing up as, a child of immigrants, and everyone else is an immigrant, and everyone is just out here to try to win and do their best. And then, you sprinkle in just a New York hustle mentality. It's like every single day it's either you get hustled by someone or you hustle someone else. So you just got to be smart with how you move about, especially in the professional space. I brought that mentality into how I built my career, which was, in art school, in undergrad, they don't necessarily prepare you from a business standpoint. You get trained as an artist, which is really what you get paid for. But at the end of the day, whether you're an artist, a photographer, anyone who works for themselves, at the end of the day, you're running a business. So you need to learn how to wear a lot of different hats, and especially in today's digital age, you have to know, in addition to your accounting, your legal stuff, your day-to-day management, you have to also understand marketing and social media and telling your story. And it's a lot. It's a lot of different hats that people have to balance. But, I've always had a very proactive, energetic spirit, probably ADD, ADHD to some extent as well, because I just can't stay still. I got to stay busy all the time. And being in a city like New York, being from that type of city, that energy of the city fuels you. I like to call it like a symphony of traffic, right? Like people driving, riding their bikes, skateboarding, the buses, and the pedestrians. It's just a perfect symphony of a very energetic city. And it's definitely fueled a lot of my work and my approach to just trying to be a couple steps ahead of everyone if I can. If I have the mental bandwidth to be able to think that way, that's how I try to approach everything the best I can.
Yeah, well, I think that attitude, that work ethic's paid pay dividends for you. I love hearing you talk about New York like that. I'm from Brooklyn, but currently I reside in Syracuse. And, it's funny. I always kind of, when I talk about New York City to other people, especially someone that maybe's never been there, I always tell them, like, I used to love, like, if I couldn't sleep at night, I'd come out on my stoop. It'd be 12:30 at night, and there's my neighbor on his, and then you talk and you chat. It's the city that never sleeps, and no matter what time of day it is, you can do something and be active in something. So hearing you reflect on that definitely hits home to me.
Yeah, my favorite part of that, what you just mentioned, is it's free.
Yeah,
a lot of it is free. So on a weekend, sometimes if I'm looking to be inspired or entertained, I just take the train into the city. I'm paying like $2.50, $2.75.
Yeah, and
I can walk through the entire city every single day and experience something different. And that's what I love about New York. And you don't have to pay that much, and maybe grab a water or coffee along the way, but there's just so much the city can offer you.
Yeah. If I'm married now, I joke with my wife, if I was a single guy, I'd probably love to still live there. She's not from there, so it's a different world to her. But
totally.
But and another thing I know about you started out as an intern, and you've really kind of worked your way up. Do you credit some of your success to kind of starting in that fashion and kind of putting into work and learning kind of from square one, rather than maybe having success very quickly, or someone that doesn't maybe catches lightning in the bottle, or if, pardon my expression, getting lucky? Do you appreciate it? Do you think that was a factor into your success today?
Oh, 1,000%. To this day, I think every person I had a chance to intern with, I'm grateful for their time, their energy, the fact that they took the time to correct me, to invest in me as an individual. I think they set the bar for why I work the way that I do. I've worked with and interned with certain people at the time where I thought like they were kind of crazy sometimes because they were nitpicking certain things. And I was like, no one's going to freaking notice this, But at the same time, they've helped me sharpen my tools. They've helped me be able to see things the way that they do. Granted, I was an intern at the time, so I was a bit younger than a lot of these other professionals. But so a lot of the knowledge that they've bestowed on me is really what I run with these days. And I've had, a lot of people comment on my work ethic in a good way. And there's also times, especially being in Los Angeles now, obviously I'm still moving by the New York minute the best I can.
Yeah.
There's times where people are just like, I feel like everyone's not even running, just walking behind me while I'm trying to run ahead. So I have to kind of calibrate and change the way and the speed in which I work, especially with the kind of standardized sense of urgency that I grew up with. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, no, I'm so grateful for all of my internships. I wouldn't be able to put a dollar sign or price tag on any of the experience I had, because there was just so much more that I gained from all the different types of internships I did.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for you. I'll have you answer, but I think even by paying your dues like that, Sophia, you appreciate where you are now and the success you have garnered, because you know what I mean? You came from that point to where you are now. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing that I appreciate that you do, you're very philanthropic. You do a lot of stuff for charity and cause work, and we need more of that, I think, especially in today's day and age and with current events as they are. Were you always like that, or was that something as you got older you just learned to do that?
I mean, I think a part of it definitely is kind of the Queen's mentality of like, hey, I don't think you've really accomplished much in your life until you've really brought your community with you. And it's just like, hey, why take the spotlight on your own when there's so many other great creators that I've been able to know and work with over the years that really should, like, how can I use the connections that I have in order to amplify those voices? Mm-hmm. And then, just growing up as well, like my mom has always kind of put out the extra limb to like give back here and there. So I grew up seeing her do that and making small donations here and there to different types of like a charitable or religious types of settings. But yeah, I think like, you know, again, like you mentioned with my internships, the only reason why I've been able to accomplish so much is because people offered their insight for me. I'd love to be able to give back the best that I can, and I believe that the creative community overall is very cyclical.
Yep.
And so, you know, take but also give back. It's like the take a penny, give a penny kind of approach. Yep. And that's how we can really maintain a healthy ecosystem. It goes down to, you know, me asking for my rate. If I want other people to or my clients to honor my rate, I need to make sure that I'm honoring, you know, the different vendors and contractors that I'm working with and making sure that I honor their rate the best that I can as well. So, I don't know, call it karma.
Yeah, I'm a believer in karma, so you don't have to sell that on me. I'm a buyer, so, and it's very good that you're like that. So let's go into the Tops 2020 project. It's taking the hobby by storm. You have the distinction, I'll call it the distinction, of being the only woman on the project. Just your thoughts on that. Did that surprise you? When did you know that was actually the case? And just sort of elaborate on that being the case.
Yeah, it was surprising, but it wasn't. It's not something I'm unfamiliar with, to be really honest. Mm-hmm. I think because of my background in streetwear and in sneakers, a lot of times I am kind of the solo female, and mm-hmm. I know in today's climate it's definitely something worth calling out, but with the way that I approach my work, and especially the space that I work in, I've always just thought of it as, hey, you know what, let me just let my work speak for itself, and then if people happen to ask about the gender or discover the gender, that might be an interesting surprise for them, because there's been plenty of times where I've worked on projects and people later find out, oh, wow, I didn't know a female worked on this and stuff like that. But it's fine. You know, I think it just depends on who you're talking to. But when I found out about it, maybe, I don't know, pretty early on, I was just asking out of curiosity, because obviously a lot of the artists do go by an alias name. Yeah. But it's just a fun fact, and I'm super honored. And, you know, I mean, I'm sure we can dive into it more later on, but I just think Project 2020, after seeing the continued success, it's just a really exciting time for all illustrators and artists, graphic artists, to just see the stake and potential that mm-hmm. our work can bring to just, you know, iconic projects and all the different. I think it only opens doors for more artists in the future, just to see the success of how well this project is doing.
Yeah, and on that success, I mean, obviously no one wanted the pandemic to happen. No one really saw it coming in the fashion that it did. But the timing of the project, which is mere coincidence, couldn't have been better, because with the lack of sports, Sophia, and it affected the hobby with a lot of cards not making it to press. This was really a perfect timing on their part. And this thing, I don't have to tell you this, is just insane what it's doing right now in the art world, in the hobby world. It's transcended even past the hobby. Regular news outlets are covering it. ESPN and other, you know, your regular big channels, NBC, ABC, all those kind of things. I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think most of the artists really saw it on that level. I don't think Tops saw it on that level, even in their, you know, in their best day. And then obviously card people did not, I don't think, saw it doing what it's doing right now. Kind of speak to that with the pandemic and sort of the ingredients for, even though the pandemic's obviously a negative, this project has turned the time into positive. Some will look back and say, you know, it was a bad time, but man, that, you know, Tops 2020 project, I loved it, and I remember it during that time. Kind of speak to that being directly in the eye of the hurricane, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to. I feel like ingredients is really the best term to use, because, you know, you got the very unfortunate pandemic. you've got people stuck at home, and the cool thing, I mean, on the bright side, there's so many former card collectors that may have, tossed in their hat are now picking up that hobby all over again. And I mean, I definitely didn't see it coming, to be really transparent. And I've said this in multiple interviews. I am not a huge baseball fan. I grew up, obviously riding the 7 train next to the Shea Stadium all the time, went to my share of baseball games, but it's not like I'm an avid follower of everything that's happening on a day-to-day basis, let alone especially in the baseball card world. So for me, when I was approached with this project, I was just thrilled to be able to work on a thesis of work, a body of art. More than anything. And, one thing happened right after another with a lot of people reaching out to me about signatures. I didn't know if you should be charging for a signature. I was also going through a bunch of, my own personal craziness during COVID. And, I'm a small business owner, so I had other businesses and layoffs and the PPP and dealing with the grants and invoices being late and trying to make sure I'm still able to make rent. So, it was a very hectic time for everyone. But, I just launched my signature, autograph program just about end of last week for my most recent card, Roberto Clemente. And then all of this week, actually, we did my first 5 cards. So Monday was my first card, Mariano Rivera. Tuesday was Jackie Robinson. And obviously with everything happening with BLM and the protests, obviously, majority of social media is kind of the place that I share and update just my general fan base as far as what's going on. So I've been kind of quiet on social channels just to offer space for everything that's been happening in just the public space right now. And so there's more specialty channels that I've been using, like my Facebook group and Discord channel, which obviously I just kind of discovered this stuff in recent weeks, but it's really cool because I've been able to connect with fans. They can ask me questions about my background and just kind of connect with people, and it's just really cool. I don't think I've ever had an experience like this where, you're really actually connecting with fans and they're sharing you all the cards that you created that they're collecting, and just seeing people talk amongst each other about your work is just really, on a positive note, is really, really exciting. But yeah, like you said, it's the perfect ingredient with COVID, with baseball season being on hold, which it looks like they might bring it back. And so it just gives people hope. It's a very accessible entry point as far as the $20. Every single day, I find myself checking the Topps website to see if there's any cards that I want to buy, just because I actually started buying some cards too because I just simply like the art behind it. Like Earn Z, one of the artists, did a really cool Ichiro, and I didn't even know who the artist was. I didn't care. I was like, this is such a cool illustration. I love the way he did it, and I was just like, I want to buy it. So it's great. I think it just opens up so many doors on a positive note for card collectors, for baseball fanatics, for street artists, people from the sneaker and street community. So yeah, it's great, and only upwards from here, hopefully, because we still got the rest of the year. And I've got 14 more cards to go still.
Yeah, I mean, you're only, really a little more than 1/4 of the way through. Just piggybacking off what you said, Sophia, it's really sort of merged those kind of two worlds, the art world and the card world. And it's been, I don't know how you feel, but it seems to be a positive. It's opened up avenues for you to get on that, ground level and mingle and interact with people who love your work and are happy to purchase it and own it. And like you said, a little bit different than maybe previous incarnations of stuff you've done before. Sure, you get, response and reviews and mostly positive stuff, but the interaction in the hobby wise is probably very different than maybe something you're used to on that level before. Sports Card Nation is going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more Sophia Chang. Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA grading submission needs. They're constantly submitting, so they are always at the ready when you're ready. They offer various turnaround levels at the lowest prices around. Cards are insured to and from PSA at no additional cost to you. And they even provide the card savers your precious cards need to be put in before being sent to PSA. They take care of that for you. And because of their elite status at PSA, they have some of the best turnaround times around. They even have group chats for each submission, so you know exactly where your status is on your cards. They have open dialogue and open communication. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook, on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards. All one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you. We are back with Sports Card Nation and Sophia Chang. What has surprised you the most about the project? I know we got a long way to go, and there's going to be plenty more stories. But thus far, what's been like the biggest surprise? Something you really, other than the obvious success of it, has anything else surprised you?
Well, the something that really caught, I was, again, as I mentioned earlier, I was kind of dealing with my own personal life and work-related fires outside of this project. And so, a couple of things that definitely caught my eye. The number one thing I would say is when I saw someone post my Jackie Robinson card going for $4,500 on eBay. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, there's something going on here that's like going right over my head, and I need to figure out what's going on. And mind you, like in the beginning, like I said, I don't come from baseball card culture, and didn't really understand. I was just excited about everything. So when my cards were released, as they all are for a 48-hour window, I just bought one or two for myself. So I bought, 2 copies of my first 3 cards because I was like, these are great, I would like to keep a set for myself in the future. And that was honestly just my intention. I didn't at any point think about selling or signatures or anything like that. And so that was very interesting. And then I started to get even like sales agents reaching out to me, helping me get the signatures and all the autographs going all together. And it was just a lot of learning I had to do to try to, and also just figure out how do I want to show up in the space, right? Obviously at that time, a lot of the other artists probably followed baseball cards a little bit more than I did. And so just studying how they released and how they were pricing their items. And it's also a lot to set up on the back end, like managing everyone's questions and if there's any refunds because someone didn't read the description properly, or it's a whole headache. Yeah. So, and then people are also complaining, lots of complaining. Like a lot of these card collectors sometimes can feel a little bit like small children complaining about things, and I'm just like, I was going to say, welcome to the sports card hobby, Sophia. There definitely some complaining that comes with the territory. But like you said, I don't think everyone, I do just from being involved in the hobby in the way I am, but there's a lot of moving parts here. It's not just drawing, painting, putting a picture and a card together, and then you're done. There's so many other things tugging at you, and ducks to get in a row, and that sort of thing. And people, not everyone, some people may realize that, but I don't think everyone does. And to balance that out, and here you are, like you said, you've done 6 players so far. Ichiro, Mays, my guy, Jackie Robinson. I'm a huge Jackie Robinson guy, being from Brooklyn. Clemente, Bob Gibson, Rivera, and I don't have to tell you this, but I will anyway. Your work is fabulous. It's amazing stuff. And thank you so much.
I know I speak for a lot of people saying you're always on the edge of the seat, waiting to see the next Sophia Chang card that does come out.
I feel that way too. Yeah. If it helps, because it's not like I work on all 20 designs all at once. You know, I'm sure you've already spoken to some of the other artists from the series, but I don't know if it's like this for everyone, but for me, they only give me a couple players at a time. So I just work on a small batch, and then when it's up, and I just wait for them to email me again with my next round. And so, it's also exciting for me because, again, for every other person going on the planet right now, every week is different. So depending on what you're going through emotionally, mentally, creatively, it's just always fun to see what comes out on the other end as far as what we end up creating. So I'm just as excited as everyone else is to see how each card comes out.
Yeah, and I think it's come out in your work, which, like I said, has been tremendous. You mentioned even yourself, like checking out stuff on the secondary market, like finding out what your Robinson was going for at one point. I wouldn't blame you if you did. I would. Is it something you kind of do? You want to see how it's doing, or you don't have time all the time? I mean, what's your approach once you release the card?
Yeah, I haven't been one of those people ever, just like vintage shopping or thrifting. I've never been into that, and I feel like I think of eBay in the same way. I've never been someone who really spent much time on that platform. Mm-hmm. But I have to say, when I was trying to get ready for my signatures launch last week, I had to do a lot of research and try to figure out what's the most efficient. For me, it's all about efficiency, so it's not always just about, make the most money, but it's like a lot of the work falls on me to some extent. And also signing everything takes a lot of work, unpacking everything, taking the sticker off, signing it, putting it back, making sure things aren't damaged and so forth. In the beginning, before I had figured out how I wanted to set things up, because I had mentioned I don't have a lot of my earlier cards, and so I had to figure out how I was going to, kind of if I were to sell those signatures at all. And so I had this really early idea, which was not very efficient at all, to actually try to go online and purchase my earlier cards so that I could sell them for signature. Mm-hmm. And, my Mariano was going for, first of all, I kept getting sniped on eBay, and it was very annoying because I have a lot of things to do every day. I can't be sitting on eBay trying to see when things are up and set a timer. It's just too much work, and I'm really lazy. And, long story short, I got really frustrated. So regardless, I just bought my first 3 on eBay on a buy it now option. So I paid like $1,300 for my Mariano. And I was frustrated too because I'm like, it says my name right there. I made this. Why can I not get it right now? And so, obviously at that time the market was a lot higher. And so I just bought the first 3. And then I came up with a better concept because so many people were already reaching out to me to see if they could send their cards in for a signature. So I just structured the autographs for my first 5 cards, which I released all of this week, for them to just be able to buy the signature online. They send it in, and I ship it back to them and so forth. So that's working out pretty well. Yeah. And we did a really good job this week, but it's definitely, like I said, much more efficient and a much smarter way to do these things versus my initial approach. Yeah, and
like you said, you learned by trial and error, and I think you settled on. I think that makes a lot of sense. Someone obviously already appreciates and admires your work. They have the card, and now they want you to, put your penmanship, your autograph on it, and it works out. They get their original card back, and with your autograph on it. And I think both parties are happy with that. And I think that's just smart in the end. Like you said, you learn by trial and error.
And the exciting thing, which I'm very grateful for, and that's another reason why I try to be as proactive as possible in these social channels, is that some of these fans they're paying for the signatures for all of these cards. Mm-hmm. And my highest price point is $1,000. My lowest is $300. But I can't imagine someone dropping, $1,000 every other day for signatures. I'm just trying to keep in mind everyone's in a recession here still, but there are people who are paying for it, and I'm very grateful for that. And they're really big fans. They're very vocal. They're extremely supportive. And so, with a lot of my signatures, I am going to be doing kind of like an Easter egg moment, which should be fun. Just like a little extra thank you for folks. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and it's great that you're going to get all sorts of reactions, but I think most people in the hobby are really nice, genuine people who are happy to be involved and interact with you. And it's a little different, too, because under normal circumstances with a normal release, of athletes, baseball players, basketball players, football, hockey, and other sports, collectors don't really get to sort of banter on that level with the athletes. And here now they're getting to banter with you and the other artists on that level. And I think they appreciate, I'll speak for them, but I think they appreciate the opportunity to do that. Even just to tell you, hey, I loved your Clemente, or I loved your, Jackie Robinson, and I bought 5 of them, and, they like, to be able to talk to that person who created this work of art. And, how often do people realistically, you will go to a museum and you're looking at things in the museum. A lot of times those people either are passed on, or even if they're still alive, they're not as accessible,
Right.
and so
right, that's true.
I think the hobby appreciates, and also on the artist side, it's not a one-sided thing. Yourself and many of the other artists have really, given of yourself and gotten involved and have made yourself accessible, and that says a lot about you and your fellow artists, that you're willing to do that as well.
Yeah.
So I'm what I got to ask you. Do you know what your next one is, and when people can expect it?
Yeah, my next one. Let me see how soon it's coming up. Let me check my calendar just so I'm not giving you the wrong time and date here. But I think. So my next one is actually next Thursday. Wait, when does the episode come out?
The 26th. So
okay. Well, if you wanted to bump it up sooner, you can always hype people up on it. But the card that's coming out on the 25th is going to be Ricky Henderson. Okay.
Yep. So if you're listening to the show, go out there and get the Ricky. It's actually, if you're listening to the show on the date of release, it's still available in that 48-hour window.
Yep.
So go.
And I'm going to be also offering my signatures for that. So I offer my signatures after the 48-hour sales window is up. So it'll probably go up that Saturday. And then the 2 next upcoming 2 cards that I have are 2 big players. And that's all I'll say.
I won't say it, but I got a feeling I could probably guess one of them. So
maybe, probably, most likely. There's only so many on that list that everyone's excited about, right? So it should be fun. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, look, everyone's excited, and so we kind of just feed off of each other's energy, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a beautiful thing, Sophia, that during some down times with everything going on, that they're what you guys are doing, what you folks are doing, is bringing some joy to a lot of people, and that can't be looked at lightly. I appreciate you. I know you're busy. You kind of laid that out. It sounds like you're a one-person band. You're kind of doing a little bit of everything, including the artwork and signing and packing and shipping and God bless you. Again, that goes, I think, to your work ethic we spoke about earlier. So I appreciate you being so busy, making some time for the show, and I'm sure a lot of people would feel the same. I'll kind of give you the final word, give out where people can get their stuff signed, where they can see what you do, and find out more about you. The floor is yours. Take as much time as you need and give out all that information.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for anyone who's a big fan of the Tops project as a whole and wants to get more frequent updates, they can always join my Discord channel. They can email me or DM me. I can share that link. And then if they're interested in sales, the sales are usually posted in a specific window of time in order to just manage the influx of visitors and stuff like that. But you can usually find my online shop via my website, and my website is ESYMAI.com. It's just, actually, a lot of that just came from, the SYMAI actually just came from my high school days when everyone used to tag a little bit with a little alias nickname. Yeah. And so when I, had to create like an instant messenger screen name, I just used that title. When I had to buy a domain on my website, when I started to share my portfolio work, I couldn't think of anything, so I just went with that. But yeah, so on my Instagram as well, it's ESYMAI, and that's the best place for you to see upcoming drops.
There you go. And I know I'm speaking for many. I'm looking forward to the next ones. I know you teased they're quite big or substantial in stature, so I'm sure everyone is probably putting their own guesses together and probably either 100% right or 50% right, but we'll see as those come out. You got the Henderson, like you said, next. When this has dropped, that is still available on the Topps website. So as soon as this episode's over, disconnect and head to Topps and buy 100 of those Ricky Henderson, Sophia Chang.
Yes, please.
There you go. Sophia, again, I can't say thank you enough. Thank you for making some time. We'd love to have you back on maybe later in the year towards the back end of the project, kind of catch up and see where the projects went and your thoughts again on it at a later date, just kind of to see how the project's progressed. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire. Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like One of One. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way. All right, that's going to do it for episode 82. First off, I want to thank our guest today, Sophia Chang. Great person, great artist, great insights into the Project 2020. Funny to hear her talk about trying to buy her own cards on the secondary market and kind of being surprised that that's what some of those were going for at the time. Very candid, too. I appreciate people who are very candid like that. So be real interested to see, her future works and all the future works of the Project 2020. If you're following it or you're into it or you're buying cards, you've noticed the print runs kind of coming back down to earth. A lot of that is with the people trying to sell, buy on a Monday and sell on a Tuesday. I think that crowd has kind of exited the building, or a good portion of them. And so now we're seeing it kind of back to its original phases, if you will. And so it'll be interesting to see how the whole project commences as we go towards December. I also want to close again. Thank you to everybody that reached out and during what happened this week. I can't say thank you enough, and I want to use that as kind of a pivot point. That's the beautiful thing about this hobby, is how we help each other out. I mean, that's what it's about. We're human beings. There's no color, at least as far as I'm concerned. We're people. No race, religion, color. We're human beings together. The hobby is that common thread we happen to share. And help anybody out. If they don't collect cards or buy cards and someone needs help them out. But the one beauty about this card community, this card hobby, is, 98% of the people here are genuine good people. Sure, there's that 2%, and we could do a whole show on that. I've probably done already before. And they're always going to be, you're never going to be at 100% of great hobbyists, but our percentages are still high, and help each other out, be there for each other. You never know when you yourself, like I found out this week, may need a pick-me-up, a pat on the back, words of encouragement, or just a plain condolences. Sorry for your loss. Those go a long way. Someone says, well, John, they're just words that anyone can type. True, but the fact that someone would take time out of their day to send them means the world to me. And I shared many of them with my wife, my son, who are having a rough time as well as I am. And it helps. It helps. It's therapeutic. And I'll always be there, or I will always try to be there for as many people in the hobby as I can. And I urge you to do the same. There's going to be someone else, maybe tomorrow, I hope not, that's going to need some help, maybe some just encouragement, some enlightenment, some words of wisdom, and we need to be there for each other. And this week, I already knew this, but this week really proved to me that the hobby is predominantly a good place, a great place. I'm happy to be in it. I'm happy to be a small part of it. I'm happy, this show is an outlet. I'm glad we still did this show this week. I know it was a little shorter, but I wanted to get it out there. And, Sophia gladly gave her time for the interview. I didn't want to push anything back. So, folks, as always, thank you for everything. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for allowing me to do this show. I'm going to be honest with you, as I recorded the segments each day this week, it kept my mind, off things, off current events, and I needed that, and the show was the vehicle that allowed it, but the real vehicle is you folks that listen every week that allow me to do this show, the sponsors who allow me to do the show as well. So thank you, everybody. We'll probably be back in 7 days with a show next week, and we'll see you then. Take care, and God bless you all.